Hello and welcome to another reading video. This week I wanted to experiment with reading in the mornings. As somebody who is not a morning person, very much a night person, and also as somebody who wants to try to reduce some of my screen time. Typically when I wake up, I go straight to TikTok. I really enjoy watching day in the life vlogs, cleaning routines, etc. It really helps me from falling back asleep. It also kind of motivates me to get my day started and feel productive. I definitely don't think it's the worst way to consume content, but at the same time, I do want to see if I can just go a week without it. And I think ideally it's best to have a specific activity in mind so that I'm not making any decisions when I first wake up. And I think the next best thing to get me out of bed would be reading. So instead of staying in bed and immediately scrolling, I will be getting up, doing my skincare first because I just have to do that as soon as I get out of bed, then getting straight to reading. Good morning. It is currently 8 a.m. exactly. So I have about half an hour to read. I'm reading Badass Habits by Jen Sincero. I took the dust jacket off, but I will pop the cover on the screen. I'm like halfway through it, and I've been halfway through it for a while. It hasn't really been working for me just because the premise requires you to have a specific habit in mind, and I don't. I'm thinking maybe I'll make morning reading a habit, but really this is just more of an experiment. I don't necessarily care if this becomes a habit or not. I just want to do what feels good for my mornings and works for me and gives me more energy later in the day. So if this does that, great. If this doesn't, then I probably won't try to make it a habit. So there's no real specific habits that I'm trying to drill in, and you have to be so specific with this because she wants you to like make a mantra, set out all the things, all the reasons that you might not be able to accomplish it, and then how you can change it. And it's just very, very, very specific. I'm also not a big fan of the examples that she's been using. There's a lot of diet, exercise, and smoking and drinking. I don't know. It just feels tired. It's set up where there's like a big long intro and then you have chapters for each day and it's meant to be 21 days. So I'm on like day 2, technically. Day 3. I'm just going to kind of skim these because they're just too specific for me to really take anything away from, I think. But let me take a look. Let's see. I mean, it's nice to read about habit building. I think it is a nice way to start the day. So I'm kind of like 50-50. Like, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but it's not bad either. A lot of these are really pretty standard things in terms of habits. Like, she talks about setting yourself up for success through your environment and tracking, habit stacking, rewarding yourself, all the stuff that most of us are pretty familiar with, I think. And she keeps it really lighthearted, which I think is nice, especially when some of this stuff can get really serious or feel really serious, especially if you've been struggling with a habit. It's nice to have somebody that is coming at it from like a lighthearted, relatable place. I think I don't love the structure of this. Like, that's really my biggest complaint. The day 1 through 21, trying to focus on different themes each day, but it ends up getting a little redundant. There's a lot of repetitiveness around language use. That's the big focus of this book, being really specific in the language that you're using when you're thinking about your habit and you're thinking about yourself and how you want to change, because a big part of habit changing is identity. So she does kind of work through that, which I appreciate, and then talks a lot about gratitude as well. So I think this is grounded in things that I definitely agree with and can get behind. Yeah, I just don't love the structure, but we're making progress. It's so easy and so quick to read because like the margins are so big and there's a lot of little like call outs and things to make it take up space on the page, and it's a very fluffy book that was meant to hit a page count. So I'm going to, I think, probably finish up now. It's 8:35. I'm on page 168. Yeah, this was actually a nice way to start my morning. Tomorrow I have to coach in the morning. I actually have to like get up and leave at like 7 in the morning. So I might just read on the train, honestly. I forgot my mic, so hopefully these headphones kind of do the trick. I don't know, I read about like another 25 pages or so. I am so sleepy, but this book is so easy to read that I'm glad I'm reading this and not trying to keep track of a storyline or something. Honestly, I think self-help style books are like one of the best genres to get into reading because they're just so easy to relate to, usually easy to apply to your own life and easy to get invested in, I guess, especially for the times when I'm still a little bit brain off in the mornings. I had wanted to DNF it for a minute because I thought it was just like a little bit too redundant to things I already know. But I think it's more important is the ritual of just reading and kind of reconnecting with what you want your habits to be in the morning. Just starting your day that way is really nice, regardless of how robust the content is. Also, it is like the most beautiful day outside right now. It's like 55 degrees and sunny and quiet and calm in the city. It's my favorite time in New York City, my favorite weather. Good morning and happy Monday. This morning I ended up just kind of falling back to sleep each time that I woke up. So in order to keep myself awake long enough to actually stand up, I was scrolling on Pinterest and trying to look up breakfast recipes, breakfast ideas. And I think that was kind of defeating the point of avoiding the scroll, but it feels like maybe a half step better. It's mostly pictures. There's no sound. And I think that's an important element of what I'm trying to achieve here in the mornings is just having a calmer, quieter, a little more intentional consumption, I guess, in the morning because reading is still consumption as well. In terms of my reading, I picked up The High Dive by Chelsea Fagan. I have an e-arc from NetGalley and it comes out tomorrow. And it's actually a really quick read. I found myself kind of skimming some of the scene setting, I guess. Little details about like who's sitting where. Like I just don't care. Even some of the internal monologuing, I just kind of end up skimming a little bit. It's a contemporary romance. It's set on a yacht in the Mediterranean. That actually is really nice. So anytime there's a little scene setting in terms of the ambiance, the atmosphere, and the visuals of the area they're in, I do read through that because that's probably one of my favorite parts of this author's writing is the luxurious vacation destinations that's so prominent in this book. Yeah, I'm about a third of the way through, but I think I'm going to start with Badass Habits today. I was starting to say the other day, I just like starting my day with this, even though it's really fluffy, a little bit like listening to a guided meditation, right? Like they just say the cheesiest things. It's stuff you already know, but it's still helpful sometimes to just remind yourself of remind yourself of your goals, remind yourself of your hopes and dreams. I don't know. Are habits part of hopes and dreams? I think so. I'm on the section about building confidence, and I think that sounds like a fun chapter. All right, and switching over to the high dive. I think I'll just read like a chapter of this for today. I'm enjoying reading this book, but I just don't think I like the couple. Don't hate them. Like, they're fine. I like that there's history. Like, they were friends in college. The main character had a crush on this guy in college, but apparently they had a falling out of some sort. They're on this trip for a mutual friend for the bachelor trip, and they're staying on a yacht. It's a cool setting. It's got this, like, forced proximity element because it's such a tight space. Not a lot of ways to avoid somebody on a yacht. They have to try to coexist, and they keep getting into little arguments. Like, there's a lot of tension, a lot of underlying tension. I feel like I haven't seen them have a real conversation yet, and maybe that's why I just don't feel that invested yet. But the setting I'm interested in, and I am interested in seeing how it plays out because it's a lot of drama. Also, there's some drama with the couple that is getting married and some tension there as well, and I'm curious to see if they end up getting married by the end, because they do not seem like they get along. But that is all for today, and I will see you tomorrow. Good morning. Welcome back for day 4. Today's a little bit thrown off because my partner ended up staying home sick from work last night. I ended up sleeping in a bit. Definitely a late start to the morning. I have been enjoying that kind of productive feeling of starting the day with getting a few pages in, ideally getting a full chapter. It just feels like such good momentum to start the day with. I do think this book is meant to be read in small chunks because other than that, it's just too repetitive. But once a day for like a few pages a day is nice. I think I made my tea just a little too much cream today. Still very good. Notice there's a lot of mention of the universe, like the universe gave you the desire to become who you're becoming. It's fine, like you can kind of just replace this with whatever higher power term you want to think about, but for somebody who's completely atheist, I think this would be maybe a turnoff. I would just keep that in mind if you are thinking of picking up books like this, if it lines up with you spiritually, especially when it comes to something so personal about your identity and your practices, your routines. I do like how she emphasizes not complaining, make a choice and stick to it and accept that things will be challenging or maybe kind of suck sometimes. Complaining only makes that worse. So basically, like, suck it up and just do it. Like, you've committed to this, and if you want to be successful, you've got to see it through. I don't know. This is very much like a take what works and leave the rest kind of book. I think that's the case with most self-development books, and this is definitely no exception. There's things that work for me, and I think I can take as a helpful reminder, and things that maybe are less relevant. Good morning. We are on the last day, so I figured I'd shake things up a bit, switch some things around. First of all, we are filming with an ultra-wide view, vantage, lens. I don't know what you want to call it. I zoomed out on the camera. That way you can make sure I'm in frame, because I think yesterday I was largely not in frame. The second thing I did was I did my stretches before sitting down. Third thing is I grabbed myself a glass of water with lemon and a dash of apple cider vinegar. I used to do this years ago, and it's warm. It's a cup of warm water, and for some reason that feels so luxurious in the morning. I drink it through a straw because I remember seeing that if you drink lemon juice, sip it, like it can erode your teeth or your enamel so that it doesn't touch your teeth. I feel like it still touches my teeth, but whatever. And then the next switch up for the day is I started The Hidden Life of Trees yesterday afternoon, listening on audio, and I got about a quarter of the way through, but I wasn't loving it. It was starting to get a bit boring, and I'm wondering if maybe this is something I could read in the mornings. I decided I wanted to just try this out for the video today. I am thinking that the mornings could be a good time to read nonfiction, but I am nervous that some nonfiction might be too challenging. Something like self-help is really straightforward, really simple, and I think, like I was saying, it's just an easy thing to pick up and understand without a lot of brain power, whereas something like this takes a little bit more brain power. It's not super scientific, but it is very detailed, definitely more dry. If I was gonna fall asleep reading, it would probably be reading this book. I have to find where I was because I was listening to the audio. Okay, we're at the beginning of chapter 9. All right, I finished one chapter. I like the length of the chapters, very attainable, very convenient, but this was very dry and made me very sleepy. And that brings us to the end of the experiment, and I just wanted to give you some of my final thoughts. First of all, I think that having a lighter read to pick up was really ideal first thing in the morning. In particular, I really enjoyed having a more upbeat, positive, self-development type book to start my day off. I ideally would love to be reading something that's more of like an educational nonfiction, such as The Hidden Life of Trees, which I did pick up on the last day. Second of all, I was genuinely surprised with how fast the time went every morning. It really felt like the time just flew by. So that was definitely a win. My third lesson was that I kept forgetting to do my morning stretches, which is such an integral part of my routine for the past several months. So I need to figure out where to stack that back in to the routine. I think, like I did on the last day, just doing it before I sit down to read would be best, because I thought I was going to do it after, and by the time I'm done reading, I'm thinking about my to-do list and what else I want to be working on. So doing it before reading going forward, I think will be the move. My fourth learning was that I thought I would need caffeine to get through this. Instead, I found that I was reaching for water a lot more, which was great because I was now drinking water at a time that I would normally just be in bed not drinking water. So overall, I'm upping my hydration for the day. Yet another win. My fifth and biggest learning lesson, I would say, was getting up and moving really helped me in this challenge, because I have tried this before where I just turned off my alarm, picked up a book off of my nightstand, and tried to just start reading straight away. However, no matter what book I picked up, I felt like I was just falling right back asleep or struggling to stay awake. But what I did this week instead, especially since I was filming, was I got up, did my skincare first, came and sat in the living room, And I think that moving my body, sitting upright, getting my circulation going just that little bit made such a difference in my alertness. And I noticed it even more so on that last day where I did my stretches before as well. Just that extra bit of circulation and movement really, really helped. Now, did this improve my screen time? Well, if we look at the numbers for my screen time the week prior to this challenge, I spent on average about an hour and 21 minutes per day on TikTok. And if we look at the days during the challenge, I was averaging 55 minutes. So about a half hour less per day. Fantastic. If we look at Pinterest, I did increase my Pinterest time by about 10 minutes per day. So again, I would take that as an overall win. I was also concerned going into this that by skipping my morning scroll, I might end up binging TikTok later in the day. However, I found that wasn't really the case. I actually felt less inclined to pick it up later in the day, so that was also a pleasant surprise. Overall, this was a much needed switch up in my routine. Thank you so much for coming along with me. Thank you for keeping me accountable this week, and leave me a phone emoji in the comments if you made it this far. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I will see you for another video soon.